today we'll be picking up from where we left off 6 days ago in regards to the analysis that I did on Euro USD, basically going through the process as to how to trade Euro USD using the volume profile. Now we're going to pick up from last week, so picking up from where we left off, basically price came into this low value node area right here. Let me just select my pointer. Price came into this low value node area right here, or low volume node area right here, and basically has gone through it, and it's now what I like to call the retest to just say that it plans on going downwards, right? Which is fair play, because if you look at what price has been doing, as well as if you look at the overall structure that price has been in, okay, it makes sense that around about now is probably the time that we could think about maybe price pushing downwards. So that's something that could definitely take place, and that is an idea that I think will happen, that price will begin to push downwards. I may be right, I could be wrong, only time will tell. Okay, so with that all said and done, we're just going to jump into the hour real quick. Actually, as a matter of fact, before I even do that, let me make sure that I've adjusted this volume profile properly so everything is kind of how it's supposed to be. Okay, right, so what we basically have here in terms of what's going on right now is that, in my mind, I believe that price will be making its way down a little bit lower, to say around the level of 1.4877. okay, I think price is going to do that, but only time will tell, because today is Friday. So it being Friday, there's not really much movement that we can expect, right? Let's see what I can see here. So this is for next week, Wednesday. And for today, I've got a little indicator telling me that there's news coming out. So I just want to see exactly what they're talking about. And there's nothing really majorly important, and I don't think we have anything big on FX Factory either. So let me just have a quick look on FX Factory to see what we got going on, see what kind of news. Obviously you're not seeing me do this, but I am checking the other screen that I'm on just to see what kind of data is coming out today about Euro USD. So let's just have a quick look. Okay, so all I can see today is the prelim consumer sentiment that's coming out at 3 p.m. today. So whether that moves market or not, we'll find out. We will find out. But that's what we got coming out today at 3 p.m. So other than that, I'm not really expecting major movement from Euro USD at all today, right? I'm just expecting it to either begin to collapse on itself or just stay in the range that it's in right now. So depending on how you play it, there could be some nice pips in there for you. So now we're going to look at this on an hour just to give us a rough idea as to what it is that we need to be keeping an eye on. Okay, and as we can kind of see, a few days ago was when we got some news. I think Trump basically made a statement to the effect that he's going to fire the Fed, right? So that caused this movement that we can see right here. And all it is, I can say, for those guys that were facing in the wrong direction, which a whole bunch of people probably were, they got hit bad, right? Because this push to the upside really messed up the flow for a lot of traders. Why? Because the overall direction of market was downwards, right? So as we went through the day, it would have been very easy to be placing yourselves. So let me find a good place to do this from. So Sunday, Monday. Okay, so for example, right, the high on the Friday, okay, you might have had a pending sell order in this location right here. Okay, you could have had a pending sell order in this location right here. Okay, at which point price would have gone in, hit that, and then come all the way back down again. But due to the move of market at that time, the chances are you probably would have said, hey, you need to be in a buy then, and you could have ended up buying the top and then being caught out. That is a legit scenario that could have taken place. Or you could have had your pending sell order in that location right here. Price went into it, hit the sell, and then came back down again, at which point you would have been laughing, right? Because this whole path that market was on is that where you look for sells, not necessarily buys. So the data that came out on the Wednesday that pushed market all the way up, depending on when you tapped in with your sell, okay, this really could have hurt. This really could have hurt, right? It really could have hurt. And as you can see now, price is heading back up in this direction, okay? It will fail this wick over here, so maybe we'll just get a bunch of orders trickling up, get to around 1.17218, and then come back down on itself. That is definitely a possibility. But however, at that stage, for example, if price does peak above this low volume node over here, it's fair to assume you could be of the mindset that price is going to be going up. So you might want to lock in with some buys. You might actually want to do that. So that is an option that you will have. But however, looking at what market is doing now, I would say once again we need to exercise patience and caution in this game, right? So what I basically mean is, rather than you waiting for price to close above this low volume node in this level right here, okay, and the level in question is 1.16775 and 1.16146, okay. So just to point that out, it might not be dead on, but this is the levels that I was just calling out, okay, these two levels right here. I would say wait for one of these highs to be knocked out properly. So wait for either this high over here to be knocked out properly, or wait for this high over here to be knocked out properly before you consider jumping in with your buys, right? But also as well, another thing that you want to be mindful of is that price is currently sitting above the high value area. So price right now is in the low value area, okay? This is it right here. And the structure that it's in, which is what we're looking at right now, it is giving off the vibe that it is going to begin to break down. Okay, it is giving that vibe that it is going to break down. And if it does break down, I'm expecting price to make its way all the way down to this level right here, which is the high side of the value high area, right? So the value high area right here, this is where I'll be expecting price to come down to. And then if price makes its way underneath here, then I'll be expecting price to make its way to point of control, right? As well as come even lower to the low value area, which is this right here, where we have a low value node sitting. So right now, everything is kind of making sense for price to do a drop to the downside, right? Now, looking at what is in it for us in terms of overall profit potential, okay, so let's just say you take it from under here if the collapse continues and it doesn't push up, right? If you take it from under here, and just bear with me a moment, right? If you take it from under here and you ride price all the way down to the downside, okay, you're looking at a nice healthy 8.26% in profits, and that's a lot. You're looking at 959 pips to the downside. I don't know about you, but I know for a fact that that is something that we can all work with. So this is what I'm kind of expecting from market right now, right, based on what it is that I'm looking at. I may be right, I could be wrong. That's the point of the game, but this is what I'm thinking it is going to be taking place. Now, on its way downwards, we have a number of break areas where price could turn around. So we have low volume nodes here, another low volume node right here. We got another one just underneath the value high area, and then we have another one right here which is just on the level of the value low area, right? So these are the plays. This is how I would basically do it, right? This is how I would basically do it. And should the opportunity present itself, that is probably how I will do it. But this move that we're seeing over here, okay, we need to be extremely careful, especially if price breaks all the way down, okay, in the path that is currently doing, which is zigzagging. It makes its way down to this low volume node over here, and then starts to produce this structure from this level. So if it starts to produce this structure from this level, okay, something like this. So once it's done that, it's come all the way down here to this low volume node area, okay, then it begins to produce this structure like zigzagging all the way up into this area to tap back into this low volume node. At that point, it's a no-brainer, it's coming down, right? At that point, it is a no-brainer and it is coming down, and that is what I'm kind of thinking we're going to get from market this coming days. Obviously today is Friday, so it wouldn't be, we might see some shape of it today, but I think we will get the general gist of it at some point next week. So just be on the lookout for this structure, so which is exactly what it's doing here, which is a descending channel, and it continues on that path to this low volume node area, which is fully tradable. So if you want to trade it, go ahead and do that. Obviously exercise caution. But however, when it gets to this low volume node area over here, if it starts doing the same thing in the upwards trajectory, then I strongly recommend you start preparing yourself to sell the market, because in my mind there'll be a very high probability it will be breaking down, and that is what I'm expecting. I'm expecting this game to be happening as it's breaking down. So we have consolidation up here, and then we'll have possibly another consolidation over here again, okay? Then we might get that consolidation again at where these low value nodes are right here. So let me just add that in there again. So that will be from something like that, and it will just do that on its way downwards and just keep playing these games until it gets to this level around here, where it could even break down even lower, okay, where it could break down even lower. But the chances of it doing that, in my opinion, is quite low. I will also, moving forward, be keeping an eye on the value high area, just to make sure that point of control, if it does change or it does move and you don't have it on your chart, obviously I can then let you know what that is, what's happening, so that at least you can have your best foot forward. So with all of that said, my wonderful people from all around the world, right, I thank you for coming over and staying with this video up until the end. All right, make sure you hit that subscribe button, you turn on the notification, and you drop us a like, right? And I will see you all on the next one.